Hi, I'm Tim from the Men's Club Barbershop in Philadelphia. This is my client Mike.
How you doing? My name is Mike from Roxborough, Philadelphia. I've been coming to Men's Club for about 3 years now. It's been about 3 weeks since my last cut, so here I am.
So Mike is going to get a classic taper, is what I like to call it. Putting a Sanex strip on his neck for sanitary purposes. Okay. So the classic taper to me would be tapered in the back, tapered on the sides. I'm going to blend all this in with shears, and I'm going to take about 3 weeks worth of hair off the top, which is about 3/8 of an inch. So I like to start just by combing through the hair, make sure that he doesn't have any moles or pimples, any dust, or really anything in his hair. He does have a little bit of product, that's okay, because this is not hard or crunchy. So I'm just going to take my adjustable clipper, start at the back of the neck, putting in a little skin line here. I'll make sure that that's pretty even in the back. Okay, I'm going to open up this blade with the same technique. Bring that up another maybe 1/2 inch. So you can see the length is changing. It's getting a little longer as we go up. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this blade. I'm going to use what we call the number 1 attachment, which actually means 1/8 of an inch. Flicking the wrist, holding my clipper this way so I don't hurt my wrist. Try to save myself from getting carpal tunnel. And I'm going to bring that up another 1/2 inch. Okay, I want to comb through the hair just to make sure it lays evenly. Go back over and make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, now I'm going to open this up. It's the equivalent of maybe a 1.5 to almost a 2. Okay, so I'm going to open it up, same technique. Flicking the wrist, another 1/2 inch. Okay, so in this area here, for this haircut, we want to keep most of the length of his beard. I'm going to trim this up later, but what I want to do is just cut right here, and this is for this style of the classic taper. So I'm going to start by opening this up to about a 1.5, and I'm going to start right where the beard meets the hair, which is right here. Okay, that's not really taking much off, so I'm going to go down to maybe like a 1.25. Okay, just lightening that up a little bit. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to go right above that point. Okay. Comb the hair down just so it lays evenly and see how it looks. Okay. I'll switch over to the other side. Comb it down, make sure the hair is laying evenly. See how it looks. Okay, so now that area is done. I'm going to switch from the 1 attachment to a 2. So a 2 is 2/8, which is equal to 1/4. I'm going to start with that closed all the way. That's a true 2 attachment. Okay, just going to bring that up a little bit higher. So I'm not only watching where I'm cutting, but I can also hear that the clipper is cutting. It's very important when you're doing a precision blend. Okay, now I'm just going to go right over his ear, and then I'm going to connect into this area here. The way I do that, I push the ear down as far as I can without hurting him, and then I go in with a tip just taking a little bit off right over his ear. I want to make sure that I get all the long hair in here. So I'm using the corner of my attachment. Just going around his ear. And you can hear it cutting. Can't always see that the hair is coming off, but you can hear it. Okay. So now I'm blending this area right here under my comb. So this will be a smooth transition from the sides to the back. Okay, so I'm now just following that original guideline that I put in. A little bit higher. Take it up about another ½ inch. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side that I did on the other side. Just going back over it, fine tuning, make sure I got every hair that I'm supposed to cut for this blend. And you can see here I have a little bit of weight here. I want to go back in with my one and clean that up. Okay, so I got a one closed. Now I'm just going to open it up slightly because I know that this here is in between a 1 and a 2. Right here is where I'm blending. You can just play with your lever a little bit. When you hear it cutting, you know that that's the right length. Now some guys have a little bit of a dip in the back of their hairline, which Mike does, so I'm just going to go in, open up my blade a little bit, and just use a corner. Knock out some of that weight so it's not quite as dark. Okay, I think I got it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just dust them off so I can work with a clean slate. And I'm going to wet this area here. Actually, I'm going to wet the rest of this area. You notice I'm not spraying a full spray like this, because what happens with that is when you spray too much, the hair will start to drip, and it'll drip all over the cape, and it'll drip all over the floor. So just spray where you're combing, comb that water into the hair. I like it damp but not drenched. Now I have a couple different lengths of shears. I have a 6.5 inch length. I usually use that for the sides. And I also have a 5.5 inch length. Actually, this is 5 inches. So I like to use that for the top. And what I do is I'll actually put in what I like to call a mohawk guide. So I'm combing it this way, and then I'm going to come back the other way. And I know where the middle of his head is by his nose. So I come straight up from the nose, and I'm going to take off about 3/8 of an inch. And this will be my guide. So I'll start with 3/8 of an inch. I will then travel that guide from here. You can see this is cut to there. Okay, so I'm going to take the next section, and you always only want to cut from the fingertip to your second knuckle. If you cut past the second knuckle, you're in danger of cutting yourself. And most experienced barbers have cut themselves. And that's the reason why. It's one of the reasons why. Okay, so now I'm just traveling that guide, doing the mohawk style technique. Okay, I'm going to bring that all the way back. I'm going to bring that into the back of his head. I got the mohawk all the way down the middle. What I like to do is start from the middle, and then whatever my finger can grab from the fingertip to the second knuckle, that's where I want to cut. So I'm using this part as my guide. I'm holding the hair tight and just removing 3/8 of an inch. Okay, you can see that this hair is shorter than this. This is where I cut. That's what I want to cut into. Just going to continue that all the way to the back top of his head. And by that, I mean right here at his crown. Okay? So the next section that I'm going to cut, I just cut here. The next section I'm going to cut is right here. So now that guide has traveled from the middle, which was the mohawk, to the next section. Now it's traveling here. Okay, so now you can see that this part is shorter than this part. I'm going to cut that part, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so the next section is right here. I'm starting in the front, cutting from the point that I already cut, which is right here. That's in the mohawk section, and cutting off about 3/8 of an inch. Trying hard not to cut to my second knuckle because that's the danger zone. Okay, so I'm just taking up one section at a time, using my traveling guide. So now what I'm doing is, Mike usually keeps a part right in this area. It's kind of like where his natural part should be, because he has this whirl in the back of his head. So what I like to do is kind of work off that whirl. So I'll start combing it from the whirl. And then you want to kind of figure out where the best place in the front of his hairline where that part should be. So to me, the best part is right around here. Because see, if I try to comb this hair wants to come back this way. So you want to do what the hair wants to do, not what you want to do. Okay, so the best way to put in that straight part is to actually take your comb and go on a 90-degree angle, comb it one way, 90-degree angle, comb it the other way. And then you can go back in and get all of the stray hairs. Okay? So this is what we call a natural part. And as you can see, we're working off of that whirl because the objective with this type of hairstyle is to get the hair to lay naturally, not stick up. So as I'm cutting, I like to comb it into the style, because later on when I go back and style the hair, it just makes it that much easier. So now you can see there's a lot of weight in this area here. I've already cut the top and I've already cut from here down. So now what I want to do is blend the cut area that I cut with the clippers and blend that into the top area that I cut with the shears. So now as you can see, I'm using a larger shear. I like to use a comb that contrasts with the color of the hair, which is why I'm using this comb. It also holds it evenly, and this part is for parting. Okay, so this is called shear over comb technique. It's very important for any barber to learn the shear over comb technique, because because you want to be versatile when it comes to your haircuts. You want to be able to cut anyone's hair that comes into the barbershop. So what I'm doing here, I'm actually combing the hair and then I'm holding the hair up with my shears. It's just a technique that over the years I've found has helped me in shear over comb cutting. Okay, that there looks pretty well blended. I'm going to hold this hair out of the way and trim that up later. So now that I cut this section, I'm going to move on to this section. Okay, so for this area here, you just want to tilt the head down. Make sure it's comfortable for you while you're cutting, but you also want to make sure that it's comfortable for your client. You also want to make sure that you have good lighting. You don't want to cut where there's shadows. You can see I'm angling the comb away from the head, using this part as my pivot point. And then as I go up the head, I'm actually pulling the comb away from the head, but the whole time my shears are staying on my comb. I like to go over each section a few times real quickly, just to make sure that I got every hair that I'm supposed to cut. And when I'm holding the comb, I hold it like this. And the reason for that is it's very easy for me to go up and down with the comb. As you can see, I'm stopping up in this area because this was already cut by the shear, so I'm just blending from here to there. I don't want to go back in and take out more of this hair because I already know that this is the length that I want it to be.
How long have you been a barber?
Professionally, this year will be 20 years.
And unprofessionally?
Unprofessionally, my parents' basement, I think was about 6 years in my parents' basement. Now I'm just combing through, just double checking my work, and I don't really see any weight that I need to take out, except maybe right here. Using the shears for this allows you to kind of pinpoint exactly where you want to cut, whereas the clippers, you're going to have a wide section. So it's for this type of style, I like to use the shears for that. Okay, so now this is very important. Right in the front here, you don't want to cut this too short. So depending on the growth pattern of the hair, some people you can get away with taking a little more off, some people you can't. You have to leave it heavy in here. There's a little bit of a wave right here, so I want to pay attention to that. So what I'm going to do is use the point of my shear and actually rest that on his head. And again, Mike's a regular client, so I know that he got his hair cut 3 weeks ago. He wanted his hair the exact same way. So I'm taking off 3/8 of an inch. Okay, I don't want to make this a hard line because of this wave. So that's why I'm going in small sections. Going on an angle adds a little more texture. So Mike, are we doing anything with the beard?
No, you probably just blend it in. Oops, sorry.
You like the length of it?
Probably blend it into the sideburns a little bit.
Okay. So we're just going to blend in this, which I took down to, I guess, about 1 1/4 is what we said. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my clipper, starting with the 2. because right here is 1 1/4. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to blend down. So before we were blending up, now I'm blending down. So I'm just using the reverse of, you know, what I did before. So now I'm starting with a 2. It's blending into the 1 1/4. Okay, now I'm going to open that up slightly, 2 1/2. Bring it down another 1/2 inch. Okay. So we like the length of the beard, but his mustache right here, if you can see, kind of sticks out a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take my clipper and put the 1 attachment on it, but I'm actually going to turn it the opposite direction. And in the barber world, we call this going with the grain, which actually removes less hair, which is what we want, because we don't want to take his mustache down too much. We want it to look proportional to the beard. Okay, so you can hear taking off a little bit of hair, and the rest I will get with my outliner. Okay, got a little bit of a wild hair, you know, a little bit of wildness down here. So with the same technique, I'm going to go with the grain and just knock out a little bit at a time. I can always take more off. You can't put it back. Okay, so as you can see, it's really just softening that line a little bit, and then with my outliner, I'm going to go and sharpen that up. But we're going to leave most of the length in here. Okay, just taking off some of the wild hairs. Essentially just freehanding it. So now I'm going to use my outliners. Okay, and we like to have a nice kind of crisp line right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of comb the hair towards that line and just tap it real light. I don't want to get too aggressive with it, because again, you can always take more off. Okay, now I'm going to use this technique just going straight up. And I can see little wild hair sticking out there. Just cutting all that. Now what I want to do is, his jawline is right here. So I'm going to leave it just below his jawline. I'm going to straighten this line out. It'll make it a lot easier for him in between haircuts and beard trims for him to follow that line. He usually does a pretty good job of that. Some guys will like this edge rounded. Some guys like this to flare behind their ear. It's all about personal preference. Make sure you find out from your client how he wants it. Okay, so I got that pretty clean. He likes kind of like a natural look to his beard. He doesn't want any hard lines. So I like to give him a nice straight line that he can follow at the bottom here. But up here, I'm not going to make that super sharp. I'm just going to go in and remove some of these kind of stray hairs. So I'm using the point of my outliner to do that. Same thing with the mustache, just kind of removing any hairs that are, you know, out of place. For the mustache, I want to get it right above his lip. So I'm just using the corners. Just tapping it very slightly. We want a natural look to this beard and mustache. going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, now what I want to do is marry this side to this side. I trim that first, I trim the second. So now I'm going to come right in the middle, and you want to take a look from directly in front. Make sure that your client's head is leaning straight back and not side to side. What I'm going to do is just tap right in the middle. As you can see, it's maybe only 1/8 of an inch that I really have to cut. And I'm marrying the middle to this side and this side. So now on his neck, this hair is growing down. So if you're just going to use the outliner to trim the hairs on the neck, you want to go against the grain. So this hair is growing up and going against the grain, which cuts it as short as possible with these outliners. So now in the middle, I'm actually going to go up because these hairs are growing down, again, against the grain. Okay? You want to be careful with the Adam's apple. The last thing you want to do is dig hard on someone's Adam's apple. That could be a disaster. So just tread lightly. Okay? Take another look. See a couple stray hairs here in his mustache. Kind of just freehand them. A couple stray hairs here on the beard. Okay. This neck's getting a little red, so I don't want to continue too much. It's something that he's gonna maybe in a day or two clean up with his razor anyway. So I'm gonna leave that alone just so he doesn't start breaking out. So now I'm gonna go around his ear with my outliner. Just using the point of the outliner, point of the blade right there. And that's what this design of the blade is for. It really helps to get around your ear rather easily. While I'm here, I'm just going to kind of clean up his ears. Maybe he has hair there, maybe he doesn't. But now he definitely doesn't. Okay. So now, where I put my skin line in with the clipper earlier, I'm going to come back underneath with my outliner just because it gets it a lot closer. And I'm going against the grain, cutting all the hair, and I'm being careful to stay away from that skin line. I'm staying below it because I don't want to go into that faded area because then I'm going to have to start all over again. Now, I spoke earlier about the attention to detail, and I know a lot of guys when they get done their haircut, they go out to the car, they look at their rear view mirror or the mirror that flips down, and they're looking at their ears, their sideburns, their neck. They're looking at this whole area here. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to all those details because that's what they're going to see. Okay, I'm just going to go back over, give it a once over, see if there's anything I missed. You always want to make sure when you're checking your haircut that their head is in an upright position, especially on this back area. If you lean their head down, sometimes the shape of this changes. So you always want to check with his head straight up. Just throw a little talc on there. Get all the hair off. And what I'd like to to do now is actually an old-fashioned straight razor neck shave. Okay, so now for the neck shave, I'm going to take off the Sanex strip. Going to just put a simple paper towel, tuck it into a shirt. So now we got the old hot lather machines that you've seen in every real barbershop in America, most likely. Okay. And you want to just make sure your lather is thick enough to where it's not dripping into their shirt. Okay, just like to massage it in a little bit. Okay, of course, brand new razor. I'm going to start on the right side. I'm going to stretch the skin. Okay, and wipe it. Now I'm going to start on the left side. Just go down another section and stretch the skin. You always want to be careful of moles and anything else that might be on the skin that if you cut them, they're going to bleed forever. So just stay away from the moles. I mean, that's really the best thing. You can go back over with your outliner, trim the little hairs off that. But this is something that I think every barbershop should be doing, or at least offer it. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we get all the shaving cream off his neck. Got a little aftershave balm. Kind of warm it up in your hands a little bit. Just massage that into the skin. This is going to rejuvenate the skin, seal the pores, make sure he doesn't get any infections. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to style his hair. And I'm going to do that with a round brush. Which I have right here. So I'm actually just going to wet the hair a little bit. Just to kind of get it back to its natural state. So for this style, I like to kind of start in the front because I feel like that's for me, it's the easiest and the most important place. This is really giving him some volume to his hair. Like has really thick hair, a little bit of a wave to it. So the heat of the blow dryer is actually taking a little bit of the wave out, but yeah, you can see it's still wavy. I like to kind of embrace whatever type of hair someone has and try to use that as their strength. Now I'm going to switch over to the cool setting, which is the same thing as holding this in. What this does is locks in the hairstyle, seals up the cuticle, and it'll really lock in that style for you. Just going to add a very light cream product because I don't really have to add much more hold now that I blow dried it. It's about a pea size amount. Just rub that into your hands like so. Kind of just work it through. I don't really have to worry about this area because it's very short, doesn't need any product. But this is more or less just to hold it into the style that was just blow dried. Adds a little more weight, keeps the flyaway hairs down. Don't have to worry about cowlicks sticking up because it was cut to the right length. And just work it in. And then after that, I'm just going to take the same comb that I was cutting with. I'm going to comb this up to add a little more volume. Make sure I get that part line straight. As you can see, I'm just combing this up and then kind of patting down those flyaway hairs. And that's what the product helps do. And that's it. Plastic taper.
Beardbrand is a premium men's grooming company with products not only for your beard, but also your hair and body. Do yourself a favor and head over to beardbrand.com and take care of yourself. Or you can stick around and watch a few more of our awesome videos.